At 74, I thought I had all the time in the world. Then my doctor said 5 words that changed everything. If you've ever told yourself you'll start taking care of your health tomorrow, or you'll call that person next week, or you'll make time for what matters when things slow down, then you need to hear this story. Please subscribe to this channel because the wisdom shared here could save you from decades of regret. Hit that like button if this resonates with you, and leave a comment telling me what you've been putting off. What is one thing you keep saying you'll do tomorrow? I am Robert. I am 74 years old. And 3 months ago, I was sitting in Dr. Harrison's office thinking about my grocery list. I'd been putting off this checkup for 2 years. My wife Martha had been nagging me about it. But I kept finding excuses. Too busy with work, feeling fine. Doctors just want your money. The usual things men my age tell themselves when we're avoiding the truth. Dr. Harrison had been my doctor for 15 years. Good man, never one for dramatics. He walked into the room with my test results, and I could tell something was different. He didn't make small talk about the weather or ask about my golf game. He sat down, looked me in the eye, and said, "Robert, we need to talk." The blood work showed problems. My cholesterol was through the roof. My blood pressure was dangerously high. My blood sugar indicated diabetes, but it was the imaging results that really got his attention. There were concerning spots on my liver, and he wanted to run more tests immediately. I remember laughing. Actually laughing. I said, "Doc, I feel fine. I've been meaning to lose some weight, start exercising, eat better. I'll get right on that." He didn't laugh back. He leaned forward and said something I'll never forget. "Robert, if you don't make serious changes right now, I am not sure you have 5 years. 5 years. I sat there in that sterile room with the fluorescent lights humming overhead, and for the first time in decades, I felt time. Really felt it. Not as this endless resource I'd been squandering, but as something finite, precious, running out faster than I'd ever imagined. You see, for the past 20 years, I'd been living in tomorrow. Tomorrow I'd start that diet Martha kept suggesting. Tomorrow I'd join the gym. Tomorrow I'd get serious about my health. Tomorrow I'd spend more quality time with my kids. Tomorrow I'd take that trip to Ireland we'd always talked about. Tomorrow I'd learn to play the piano. Tomorrow I'd volunteer at the animal shelter. Tomorrow I'd read all those books collecting dust on my shelf. Tomorrow had become my favorite day because it never came with any obligations. Driving home from the doctor's office that day, I started thinking about all the tomorrows I'd already wasted. 20 years ago, when I was 54, I had a minor scare with chest pains. False alarm, the doctors said. Just stress and too much coffee. But it shook me up enough that I bought a gym membership and promised Martha I'd start taking better care of myself. That membership expired unused 2 years later. When I was 58, my best friend Jim had a heart attack. He was younger than me, in better shape than me, and it nearly killed him. I remember visiting him in the hospital, seeing all those machines keeping him alive and thinking, that could be me. I went home and threw out all the junk food in our pantry, told Martha I was serious this time. Within a month, the cookies were back. At 62, I retired from my job at the insurance company. Finally, I thought, I'll have time to focus on my health. No more work stress, no more excuses. I could sleep better, eat regular meals, take long walks. I was going to become one of those active seniors you see in commercials, hiking and biking and playing with grandchildren. Instead, I spent most of my retirement on the couch, watching television and snacking. The pattern was always the same. Something would scare me enough to make grand plans. I'd feel motivated for a few days, maybe even a few weeks. Then life would settle back into routine. The fear would fade. And I'd tell myself I'd start again next week, next month, next year. But sitting in my car outside Dr. Harrison's office, I realized something that made my chest tight with panic. There might not be a next year. There might not be enough tomorrows left to keep putting off today. I thought about Martha, my wife of 48 years. How many times had she suggested we take evening walks together? How many times had I said I was too tired, or the weather wasn't right, or I needed to finish watching the game she'd stopped asking years ago. I thought about my daughter Sarah living 3 states away. How many times had I promised to visit but then found reasons to postpone? Too expensive, too much trouble, bad timing. When was the last time I'd called her just to hear her voice? When was the last time I'd told her I was proud of her? I thought about my son Michael and his kids. My grandchildren barely knew me because I was always too busy, too tired, too something to really spend time with them. I'd miss school plays and soccer games and birthday parties, always promising I'd make it to the next one. I thought about all the books I'd never read, the places I'd never seen, the conversations I'd never had, the apologies I'd never made, the dreams I'd abandoned so gradually I barely noticed they were gone. That night at dinner, I told Martha what the doctor had said. I expected her to be shocked, maybe cry, maybe get angry at me for letting things get so bad. Instead, she reached across the table, took my hand, and said, "I've been waiting for you to wake up for 20 years. It turned out she'd been living her own version of tomorrow too. Tomorrow we'd travel. Tomorrow we'd learn to dance. Tomorrow we'd have those long conversations we used to have when we were young. Tomorrow we'd be the couple we always meant to be." But she'd been ready to start today for years. She'd just been waiting for me. The next morning, I did something I hadn't done in decades. I put on the dusty sneakers in the back of my closet and went for a walk. Not a long walk, not a fast walk, just a walk around the block. Martha came with me, and we talked about things we hadn't discussed in years. Real things, dreams, fears, regrets, hopes. It felt strange at first, almost foreign. When had we stopped talking like that? When had our conversations become just logistics and pleasantries? Over the next few weeks, I started making changes. Small ones at first, because I'd learned that grand gestures don't last. I began eating vegetables with dinner instead of potato chips. I replaced my afternoon soda with water. I started going to bed earlier and waking up at the same time each day. But the biggest change wasn't physical. It was how I thought about time. For years, I'd been acting like I was immortal, like there would always be another chance, another opportunity, another tomorrow to get things right. The doctor's words forced me to confront the truth I'd been avoiding. Time isn't unlimited. Every day I waste is gone forever. I called Sarah that week, not because it was her birthday or a holiday, but just because I wanted to hear her voice. We talked for over an hour about her job, her friends, her dreams for the future. When I told her I loved her and was proud of her, there was silence on the other end of the line. Then she started crying. "Dad," she said, "I've been waiting my whole life to hear you say that." I realized then how many people in my life had been waiting for me to show up, to pay attention, to care enough to make an effort. My son Michael, who'd stopped inviting me to family events because I always found excuses not to come. My neighbor Ed, who'd tried for years to get me to join him for coffee, but eventually stopped asking. My sister Claire, who sent Christmas cards every year but rarely heard back from me. They'd all been waiting for me to choose today instead of tomorrow. 3 months later, I am 50 pounds lighter. My blood pressure is coming down. My energy is better than it has been in years. But those aren't the changes I am most proud of. Last month, Martha and I took that trip to Ireland we'd been talking about for decades. We walked through green fields and ancient castles, and I understood why she'd always wanted to go. It wasn't just about seeing new places. It was about experiencing them together, creating memories instead of just collecting intentions. I've started volunteering at the local food bank every Tuesday. It is something I'd always meant to do but never found time for. Turns out I had the time all along. I was just spending it watching television reruns instead of doing something that mattered. My grandchildren know me now, really know me. I pick them up from school sometimes and we get ice cream and talk about their days. I go to their games and performances. I listen to their problems and celebrate their victories. I am not just a distant figure in their lives anymore. But here is what I wish I could tell my younger self, and what I hope you'll understand before it is too late. You don't have to wait for a diagnosis to start living intentionally. Every morning when I wake up now, I think about what Dr. Harrison said 5 years, maybe less if I don't take care of myself. It should be terrifying, and sometimes it is, but mostly it is clarifying. It has helped me see the difference between what is urgent and what is important, between being busy and being alive. I used to think I didn't have time for the things that mattered. The truth is, I didn't have time for the things that didn't matter. All those hours spent watching meaningless television, scrolling through social media, worrying about things I couldn't control. All those evenings I chose the couch over a walk with my wife. All those weekends I spent on pointless errands instead of visiting family. I had the time. I just wasn't spending it wisely. Now I make different choices. When Martha suggests we try a new restaurant, I say yes. When my grandchildren want me to play a game, I put down my phone. When I think about calling an old friend, I actually make the call. When I feel like putting off exercise or eating well, I remember that 5 years isn't very long, and every day matters. The irony is that by accepting I have less time, I feel like I have more time. The days feel fuller, richer, more meaningful. I am present in a way I haven't been in decades. But I can't help thinking about all the years I lost to tomorrow, all the conversations that will never happen with people who are gone now. All the experiences I'll never have because I waited too long. All the relationships that faded because I didn't nurture them when I had the chance. You probably think you have more time than I do. You are probably right. But the question isn't how much time you have left. The question is what you are doing with the time you have right now. Are you putting off that phone call until tomorrow? Are you waiting for the perfect moment to start taking care of yourself? Are you assuming the people you love will always be there? So there is no rush to tell them how much they mean to you. I made those assumptions for decades. I was wrong. If my story resonates with you, if you see yourself in my mistakes, please don't wait for your own wake up call. Don't wait for a doctor to give you a deadline to start living. Don't spend another year telling yourself you'll begin tomorrow. Start today. Call someone you love. Take that walk. Make that doctor's appointment you've been avoiding. Sign up for that class. Plan that trip. Have that conversation. Whatever you've been putting off, whatever you've been saving for someday, start now. Because someday might never come. Tomorrow is a promise that life doesn't always keep, but today is here, right now, full of possibility and opportunity, if you are willing to stop waiting and start living. I am 74 years old, and I finally understand what my grandmother used to say when I was young. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow is uncertain, but today is a gift. That is why they call it the present. Don't unwrap your gift tomorrow. Unwrap it now.